Alright, so this is the dashboard that I made. It consists of 6 charts, as you can see. Overall, I thought the dashboard project was pretty challenging just because of the sheer amount of work that had to be done, and also because it was kind of something you could do your own thing with. So I had the responsibility of kind of deriving my own conclusions from the raw data that was provided in class. On the other hand, though, this did provide a pretty good opportunity to work on my own and really get some good experience with working in Excel independently and by myself. So even though it was pretty difficult, I found it pretty satisfying to know that I was actually getting something out of the project. Um, so one of the requirements for the project was to interview someone in the business world and to get some feedback on what they thought of the dashboard and some of the charts. I actually thought that the interview was pretty interesting just because it gave me some perspective on what someone outside of the classroom thought about dashboards. We're kind of forced to accept the concept of dashboards just because we learn about them day in and day out. But it was interesting to get some insight from someone who isn't surrounded by dashboards all the time, like we are, just to hear some opinions that may not be biased because of the classroom. I guess the interview really showed me that people outside of our class who are actually in the workforce seem to find dashboards pretty useful in their daily work. Um, so it kind of shows that we're learning what we're learning is pretty relevant in the business world right now, which I think is actually okay. So moving on to my first chart, this is just a simple chart that shows the gross profits by product for each section from 2010 to 2012. This chart is pretty useful when looking at trends, especially since if you look at the 2012 data for each section, it really stands out. It's pretty obvious with the use of this chart that 2012 was definitely a big year all around. So this chart's definitely useful when using looking at trends. And you can also tell that 2012 was a big year all around. Moving on to my next chart, you can see that this is also one of my more simplified charts. It really shows the total sales commissions by each salesperson. Although it is very simple, the chart really shows how a great amount of data that could essentially become overwhelming can be organized and easily recognizable in a simple chart. So this is actually a ton of information put into a little chart like this, and it can become overwhelming. It can become a lot of work, but when done the right way, it can come out to a result like this and be simplified and have a good final product, which is essentially what a dashboard is. If you think about it, it's just organizing overwhelming amounts of data into something that can easily be interpreted. But in closing, I think overall this project really taught me a lot of things that will stick with me, that will be useful later on in life, and I'm pretty grateful that I had the opportunity to challenge myself.